Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So, all eyes on the Fed today, and they raised their target rate by 75 basis points, as everyone expected, because they leaked it to the Wall Street Journal on Monday. But here's the worst economic news today by far. Retail sales unexpectedly fell, okay? They just dropped. And the GDP tracker from the Atlanta Fed for the second quarter is now 0.0%. Remember, Q1 actual was down 1.5%. Are we in a recession right now? Well, we could be. I don't know exactly. But there's this mind-blowing quote from the Fed's press release today. I read it to you. Overall economic activity appears to have picked up after edging down in the first quarter. Well, really? Somebody's wrong here. Either falling retail sales from the Commerce Department are wrong, or Jay Powell is wrong. They can't both be wrong. For the first time in my career, I'm betting on the Commerce Department. High inflation always ends in difficult recessions. This time around will be no different. Sorry to say. I don't know what the Fed is going to do in the months ahead, partly because the Fed doesn't know what it's going to do in the months ahead. Having completely missed the high inflation story in the first place, the Fed now says inflation remains elevated, reflecting, like, you got to love this, supply and demand imbalances related to the pandemic, higher energy prices, and broader price pressures. I keep looking in their notes for the statement, "We were wrong." We ballooned the money supply, M2, by 40%. We bought nearly two-thirds of the bonds sold by Joe Biden's $2 trillion rescue package, and that was a huge mistake, and all that's what's caused inflation. I keep looking for that, but I don't see it. So I'm going to assume that they assume this is some kind of immaculate miracle, this inflation. We're going to call it immaculate inflation. It had no real cause. It was just some kind of gift from heaven, but it's not ever our fault. Which leads me to nominate Jay Powell as the Joe Biden of the Federal Reserve. That's right. The only thing missing, Powell so far hasn't blamed MAGA Trump for inflation. That's the way Biden does when he blames Trump and then Vladimir Putin for everything that ails our country. I kind of like the New York Post editorial this morning, and I quote, "Biden pumps out more economic baloney," end quote. Well done, Post. I think Jay Powell's pumping out some baloney himself. Were it up to me, nice and simple, I'd raise the Fed's target rate a full percentage point every meeting until the actual inflation rate starts coming down significantly. I'd keep a sharp eye on gold and commodity indexes and see if the true value of the dollar is rising, not just against other easy money currencies, but against real assets that historically are the best measure of monetary value. So far, we have not seen any sustained drop in commodities. The other side of the coin is how important it should be to not simply reduce economic demand, but to increase economic supply, like, for example, fossil energy. But also, with Biden attacking business of all kinds and threatening to raise their tax burdens, why should firms produce anything? Higher taxes mean lower production of everything. Look, our mentor, Art Laffer, has always said, tax something more, you'll get less of it. That's how dumb corporate tax hikes would be right now, but Biden is touting that. I mean, this is a moment where if anybody in Washington wanted to really avoid or mitigate a Fed-induced recession, we would be slashing taxes and regulations. I'm going to call that Trump 101. But no, this is a moment when Joe Biden has now formally declared war on our oil and gas companies. Before, it was just a rumor. Now, it's a fact. This morning, Biden said he's prepared to use all reasonable and appropriate federal government tools and emergency authorities to increase refinery capacity and output in the near term. And he wants an excess profits tax, as does Senator Ron Wyden. Now, these are not terrific, brilliant ideas. Next thing you know, he's going to call on 20,000 National Guard troops to attack ExxonMobil in Texas, maybe go after Chevron while they're at it. Biden, by the way, wouldn't use any troops to protect Supreme Court justices at their homes, but he may be ready to go after the Permian Basin. By the way, there is no refining capacity because Biden's own climate regulations are preventing new refineries. He stopped the XL pipeline. He withdrew permits in Alaska and the Gulf. He won't permit LNG terminals or refiners, but he's keen to tax their profits. Go figure. How dumb is this? With no help on the supply side, the inflation battle will undoubtedly lead to another Fed recession. I really hate to say that. I don't want that outcome, but that's how it seems to be stacking up. Now, I know the cavalry's coming, but it can't get here soon enough, believe me. Now, let's go back a little bit in time. Remember the old Ronald Reagan line? Take a listen to this.
A recession is when your neighbor loses his job. A depression is when you lose yours. And recovery is when Jimmy Carter loses his.
So, folks, permit me one minor poetic adjustment. Just update Carter and insert Biden. That'll be recovery. And that's my riff.